even things like maybe money or something like that, but how has your relationship with God affected your view on relationships? Let me start. I'd say for me, my view, my relationship with God has affected my relationship a lot, especially with myself. I have been able to, I feel like, to see myself more and to just handle myself with a lot of grace and to just know myself better. I can honestly say that I feel like I'm at home with myself. I saw a quote Adele Onyango had made, and she was saying she feels like she has come to herself, and I related so much to that quote because that's the same feeling I feel, especially just being in God. I feel like I know exactly who I am, and now my work is just to align myself with the things that I know He has called me to do and the person I know He has called me to be. So yeah, that's it. Mhm. Jerono.
Uh, for me, um, I think it has affected everything. Scripture or God changes your heart, and when He transforms it, you really can't be the same afterwards. Your relationship with your family changes, your relationship with your friends, with your possessions. Everything takes, you think, second place in God, after God, but also you become more aware of your responsibility towards people. For example, if you have a friend and you wrong them, when in God, you're more likely to forgive or to be aware of what you did wrong and to amend. But before you're a Christian, anything goes. If somebody hurts you, you retaliate. If
Yeah.
say if you're in a relationship and if you are picky or if you are petty, you just intensify it. You don't really take a moment to breathe and pray about it and reflect whether or not what is going on is what should be going on. So yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. I think for me, I can actually add on to what you're saying because I can really relate to it. For me, my relationship with other people, especially, has gotten so much better in that I value them more. Because when I compare how I was relating to my friends, like when I was in the world, and now it is so different. Because now that I've begun, now that I've begun valuing my relationship with God, I'm beginning to see how His design for relationships are meant to be. Like you are supposed to come together with your friends to accomplish purpose. Like I now pray together with my friends. I come together with them, and then we just do projects to bring glory to God. I open up so much easier, like to my friends, other than Kitambo. Like I am more vulnerable with them, you know. Yeah, so for me, that's how I've been able to, how my relationships has really changed. Even in my family, I've been able to just extend the love of God that I've experienced towards my family. Like nowadays, the hakunanga arguments, there's zilikwanga easy, these small arguments that you can have with your family members, because God teaches you humility. Even if you don't agree with someone, Apple, you're just like, you know what, like as in Silasma, I don't have to win it because he has taught me how to live with my family members even when I don't agree with them sometimes, and it's been beautiful. Yeah.
Jemima.
For me, I'd say it has made my relationships harder. And I'll explain that. Like Christianity is hard. Like I'm not going to sit here in front and say forgive, like the way Jeremiah said, it's easy. And the Bible talks, like Paul talks about how we owe everyone a debt of love. So when you start viewing every single person you come across through those lens, and then now relating that with First Corinthians chapter 13 that talks about the definition of love, it's actually quite difficult. It's quite difficult to constantly be the bigger person, to let go of things, not keep a record of wrongs, to persevere, to hope all things. Like it's difficult. But then I'm reminded of a principle that I've learned recently, earlier this year, about how the purpose of relationships is not to bring us happiness, but it's for our holiness. So if you view everything that God does in your life, including the place of relationships, as a way to sanctify you and to refine you, then you understand that every single thing you go through in life and every person you meet, they serve a purpose of making you more like Christ. So when you have that end in mind, then it makes it now easier to chew on the fact that, okay, I need to love people. I need to be a representation of Christ. I need to be salt and light. So it's difficult, yes, but I'm glad that I'm not on this journey alone, and that God has given me sufficient grace to enable me to show love to everyone I meet. And then with regards to relationship itself, I think for me, it's enabled me to have a sort of like to measure how I view myself. So not too, highly, so humility, but then also not too lowly, because God talks about how, he has chosen us, we are his holiness, I'm his pride. So there are a lot of things when I'm feeling down, I can look at the Bible and say, okay, God has created a beautiful person in me. I'm God's masterpiece. I'm created for good works. But then at the same time, I need to humble myself before God and before others. So in a nutshell, I'd say that's how it's affected relationship itself with others. Yeah.
Perpetual.
Okay, for me, when it comes to self, I'd say that it has helped me to improve my self-worth, in that, especially when I remember that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, it makes me feel satisfied with who I am, knowing that God has my side. I do not have to fit in this world. As long as he's with me, I'm good to go. And help me to improve my self-worth, even when you're going for opportunities, when you're interacting with other people, like you feel that you do not have to lower your dignity or to lower your self-worth just because these people want this and this. You just have to remember that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. That has been keeping me going. When it comes to other people, my relationship with God has taught me forgiveness. It is hard. That has been my hardest lesson, but I'm learning. Like right now, I can say without feeling angry that forgiveness is all about yourself and not about the person you're forgiving. Because when you forgive, you let yourself free, and forgiving is not an easy task. So when it comes to others, forgiveness has been the main thing that I can say I've been learning. And also learn to empathy, like putting yourself in other people's shoes, not judge quickly, assuming if I was them, what would I have done or what would have been my situation. So I'd say that is how it has affected the self and other people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I was selfish with my answer. I was just like, me, God has taught me to go in myself. With others, I think I've really learned to give people grace, and again to try and put myself in their shoes and try to understand, especially now with loving people now who are not in Christ. Unajua, people who are in Christ, they'll embrace you the same way, kind of sometimes. The same way you embrace them, they'll embrace you with that grace. But somebody who doesn't know the love of Christ and is not open to receiving that knowledge or your wisdom of knowing who God is and how we should love others, for me, that has been a lesson to love people who are not loving my God. To love them even though they're like, yeah, you're God, blah, blah, blah. Unajua, to love people like those, I'm just like, you guys, you just don't know the truth. So I'm gonna love you anyway, regardless. Yeah, so that for me, that's giving people grace, loving people, and just handling people with a lot of grace. That is what my relationship with God has taught me with others. The second question was, apart from an equally yoked spouse, what particular quality are you not willing to bargain on? Definitely.
This is a hot one.
Who are you?
I know.
Even if it's like that subconscious list you're writing. The first one obviously is a guy who is saved, equally yoked, not just saved, but you guys are equally yoked. And then there's others, number 2, number 3, number what, there's others. Let me tell you my experience. There's a guy who were dating. By dating, I mean going on dates, seeing if we are compatible, and then the next process of like how do you exclusive. So we were dating, and he was so nice. He was so good, but number 1 was missing. He wasn't saved, and I remember trying to tell God, you can change him. You can do what.
Missionary dating.
Like, maybe he'll change. And I was asking God, like, just tell me if I should just leave this guy alone, because I feel like he's really nice And he opened my eyes to the fact that guys are actually nice. They're actually nice guys out there. So I was like, okay, just tell me if you want me to leave him, I'll leave him. And at that time, I was doing these classes for new believers. And I remember in that moment, like the subject we were talking about was not even related to what they said, but they were like, chekeni tu na wengine wenyu mnakatiwa na watu wa jokoko. And I was like, wait. And then I went in the main service, and the reverend was preaching and preaching, and she was saying, yeah, some of you, you're here dating people who are not saved, and you're telling God to change them. And I was like, fine, I had you, God. I'd left him. But for me, that experience really taught me that, like, there are good guys out here. I feel like God was just trying to tell me, see this one, he's really nice. He's not from my kingdom. Now imagine if I give you someone from my kingdom. He's gonna be A1. Yeah, so that was a little experience for me. But I think what I wouldn't substitute is somebody who sees me. I feel like, especially with what I'm trying to do, like with mental health and with trying to influence the world and trying to change the world. I came into Isaac and I was like, I want to change this world. You know, I had that holy anger. So with something like that, I feel like I need somebody who sees me, somebody who I'll come to them with a topic that to somebody else it doesn't make sense, but to me it's really bugging me. And they won't take it like, but they'll just be like, engage me in my anger at that time, not anger, but engage me with what I'm feeling at that time. And even if it will just be you listening to me, that is enough for me. But I need somebody who just sees me and like understands my ministry and understands what I'm trying to do. And just engage me like that. That is something I would not substitute. Because even if I have friends I will talk to about these issues, I need the person I come home to. I need them to be there. Even if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, babe, akina sumbuliwa. Why are the kids here, babe? Why are the kids here that they don't have food? Why is this happening to them? They'll engage me in that way. And I feel like that is so important to me. So that is something I definitely would not substitute. Wow. Somebody else? No?
Let me go last on this one.
Wow. Okay, Perpetual.
I have a whole list.
You have a whole
my
list.
phone. Yeah,
I have a list, but I'm like, I'm not gonna tell y'all.
but it's a list of qualities, not anything
pressure.
physical, like
Yes, just qualities.
character, like character traits I'd like to see. And it's something I've been thinking about a lot. I've been praying over it. So for me, the first thing is they need to be a leader. And I say that because I'm an alpha female. So
Yeah.
I feel like if you want to get with an alpha male, hiyo nyumba kutakuwa na upside down.
That's true.
Yeah, so I feel like I want a man who can lead. I want a man who can take charge, who can make decisions. Also, I feel like in all my relationships, I'm constantly the one initiating, getting things done. So I feel like when I come back home, I don't have to worry about what we are going to eat in terms of choice of meal or where we're going to go for holiday. Like you make those decisions now in the household because I've been busting my ass off the whole day making decisions at the workplace, So I just feel like I want a man who can lead. And then the second thing is I'm really attracted to wise men, like wisdom. And I say this because I've grown up with very wise men in my family, my father and my brother. I greatly look up to my dad. And also when I talk about wisdom, I know there's the worldly wisdom, but the kind of wisdom I'm talking about is wisdom from God.
Yeah.
And James talks about this, I think, in chapter 4. Wisdom that is peace-loving, that is submissive, that is considerate, that is pure. So I'm really looking for someone who is wise so that we are making decisions that are level-headed, we're going the right path. And I think that's just very attractive to me personally. There's a whole other list, but those are like the two things I would not want to compromise on. But hey, vile God atamleta. So these are just my prayers to heaven. Yeah.
Okay. Should they go next?
It's very attractive, by the way. It's so attractive.
Let me go next. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like for me, the first thing is that I'm mostly attracted to intelligence. So like Harper, Harper, like the guy has to be like at par because I wouldn't say that I'm that intelligent, but I would say that I'm one person who loves learning every now and then, and so it would be easier if I have somebody who is also at par so that I can also learn from them as also learn from other things or other people. And intelligence also mean even the emotional intelligence. I value emotional intelligence because I believe that even decisions that you make together can only make sense if the two of you are emotionally intelligent. Okay. And also another thing that I cannot compromise is that someone who just would let me fly. Like I feel that things that I'll be doing in the future, the things I love doing and the things I'm working on right now, they would involve me flying in terms of like opening my wings and going, even if it is internationally and all that, being out there. So I'd like someone who is supportive and knows whatever is boiling inside me, knows whatever makes my soul go on fire, and they are ready to support it even whenever they don't feel as if they are too comfortable with it, but they are ready to support it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Uh, I'm next. For me, there are a lot of things, but I think I'll summarize it in terms of maturity, the way people handle conflict or the way people handle difficult situations in their lives really matters. So if can you hear me?
Yeah,
I
Yeah, we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Okay, cool.
so well.
So maturity, if someone isn't mature in how, for example, if you have a fight and they either become, I don't know, too angry, that's a red flag. Or if they are, what's the word, petty, that's also, I don't know, that's a feminine thing. I'll feel some type of way, honestly. The other thing is also if the person should have gracious strength, in terms of, yes, they should demonstrate strength, but at the same time, it should be done in a graceful way. Sababu, there are people who are very macho, so they really want to make their presence felt in excessive ways.
Yeah,
I don't know how I can. And yes, very aggressively. But if you are mature inside you, if you are secure inside you, you do not go around showing off that I know this, I can do this. You're very content with yourself, you're very secure in, I think it also takes in maturity. Yeah. And the last thing, um no, let me just leave it at that. Those two, maturity and
Tuambie tu.
strength.
I
I've
think I'm so
forgotten the third
confused.
one.
Okay.
Okay.
The last
So
one.
for me, you all have such deep points, so many points, but me, I have like one literally. And before I say it, let me just set a base. I believe that part of being equally yoked, part of being equally yoked is that God does not bring two people together unless they are working together in purpose. So like for me, I have made that decision to relentlessly pursue God. So I don't expect God to bring me someone who has not made that same conscious decision.
Yes.
And once he has made the decision to pursue Christ, like with everything that he has, then I expect him to grow in wisdom, I expect him to grow in grace, I expect him to grow in all these things, in maturity, in all these good things that we are mentioning. So that is just my expectation, that if he has decided like mimi na pursue God with everything that I have, then hapo tuko sawa, that is equally yoked to me. So now with that said, this is what I will not settle for, like a guy who does not have a good sense of humor. Yo.
Wait. A guy who does
Hey, where did we leave that?
Good sense of
Hey,
humor.
what?
he has to have a good sense
Laughter
of
is a
humor,
must.
because I have jokes, you have to laugh.
You got joke.
And he
That
also
jokes?
needs to have jokes.
What? That's
For me, that I cannot, honestly, like for me, that is just it. Because if someone has decided, by the way, mimi ni Christ, then for sure we have come together for the sake of purpose, that our purposes are aligned. Like if I'm doing this, he's also somehow involved in that. So I'm not too worried about that, because one of the things that I actually realized is how well God knows us. So I was just thinking about this the other day, and I realized by the time I am 40 years old, like God already right now knows the weaknesses that I have when I am 40 years old and the strengths that I will have at 40 years old, and I don't know them. And when he is choosing a partner for me, he has already considered these things. Like, so I just allow him to do the job and call like, God, hiyo ni kazi yako. I just want someone with a good sense of humor.
Wow,
Yeah,
I love that.
Wow, okay. That's nice. Hata mi nataka sense of humor, God, as you're distributing mine too.
Important
But I
stuff.
just want someone who's witty. That's it.
Yeah?
I just want someone
Yeah,
who's witty. Like a witty conversation.
Yes.
Like not really funny, but you're witty. Like you're
Witty, I know.
yeah.
I just had a conversation with someone and they were very witty, and I'm like, yes, I can live with
Okay.
that.